Welcome to your third challenge problem, a temperature conversion app. The first thing that we would like to do is print a welcome message to the user, so we'll call the print function. And we're going to pass it an argument of a string that will read, welcome to the temperature conversion app. All right, wonderful. The next thing that we're asked to do is to get user input for their given temperature in degrees Fahrenheit, and we should allow the user to enter a decimal temperature. So let's see, I'm going to put a little comment here. We'll say gather user input, and let's grab that temperature. So we want the temperature to be given to us in degrees Fahrenheit, and we want to use that temperature later on in our program. So I'm going to store the return value of an input function in a variable. And I'm going to use a variable tempf to represent my Fahrenheit temperature. And so let's see, the prompt that I want in this input, I'll say, what is the given temperature in degrees Fahrenheit? Now, we know that this is going to return a string. We're going to want to do some mathematical conversions, so we want to cast this or convert this to a float. So I'm going to call the float function, and I'm going to put my input statement inside of the float function. So, think about this like order of operations, right? We work from the inside out. So the first thing that we're going to do is get the input statement. Then we're going to turn that into a float, and then we're going to return that to our variable tempf. So that looks quite nice. Our next step says convert the temperatures into both Celsius and Kelvin. If you're unsure of the conversion ratios, Google is your friend. So, my personal opinion is that, programming, computer science, none of it is sort of done in a vacuum or on an island. Look things up if you're not sure. Try to get guides. Use other resources. It's a good skill to know how to do. So I will give us the conversion ratios here in this example, but perhaps maybe you spent some time to research that, and if you did, that's wonderful. We're also noted here that we want to round all of our decimal places to 4 values. So let's see, I'm going to put a comment here. We'll say convert temperatures, or convert temps. And so I'm going to make a variable, I'll call it tempc for our Celsius temperature. And the conversion here to take Fahrenheit into Celsius, I'm going to take 5/9, so 5 divided by 9, and I'm going to multiply that by our Fahrenheit temperature minus 32 degrees. So tempf minus 32. So I think that that's going to convert nicely for our Celsius temperature. And now that I have that Celsius temperature, to get a Kelvin temperature, so we'll start a new variable, tempk, for temperature Kelvin, we just take the Celsius temperature, so tempc, and we add 273.15 to it. So there are our conversions. Again, how am I getting this information? Well, I just looked it up. I looked up on Google how to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius and then from Celsius to Kelvin. Now, we want to make sure that we round all of our temperatures. So I'm going to put a comment here. We'll say round temps. And I'm going to take the current value of tempf, and I'm going to round it. So I'll call the round function. What do I want to round? I want to round tempf, and I want to round it to 4 decimal places. So I'm going to update the value of tempc again by using the assignment operator, the equal sign, and we're going to set it equal to the output of the round function. And what do we want to round? We want to round the current value of tempc to 4 decimal places, and we're going to do something similar here for tempk, for our Kelvin temperature. So round tempk, comma 4. All right, excellent. The last step here, we're asked to display all 3 temperatures such that the temperature values are aligned when printing. So let's see, we'll maybe call this a comment here. We'll do summary table. So this is our summary table. So I need to print my print function, and I'm going to print. Let's put a new line character here so that it spaces, puts a little space between our input statement and the summary table. And I'll say degrees Fahrenheit. And then I want to put some white space here. So actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to insert a \t for a tab character. So it's going to tab my line over. And then I'm going to print temp F. But of course, this is going to be a float, so I'm going to cast temp F to a string so that we can print it in our print statement. I'm going to do a similar thing here for degrees Celsius, except now I'm not going to use the new line character because I don't want to put a new line in our table. So degrees Celsius, and we'll put a tab character to tab over, introduce some white space. We'll call the string function, and we'll pass the string function temp C. So it casts our float value of temp C to a string. Lastly, but not least, we got to do this for our degrees Kelvin. And so I'll call \t plus, call the string function, and let's cast our variable temp k, which is a float, to a string. Be careful to make sure that anytime you open a parenthesis, you got to have a closed parentheses. So if you notice, right, this first set of parentheses is for the string function. The second parenthesis here closes my print function. I think this is going to work quite nice. So if I run this, welcome to the temperature conversion app. What is the given temperature in degrees Fahrenheit? So let's see. I'm going to enter in 212.52, and we get some nice values here, 4 decimals. Oh, but this doesn't look aligned here, right? Our temperatures aren't aligned. And the reason why is because there are less characters in the string degrees Kelvin than our other two strings, degrees Fahrenheit and degrees Celsius. So when I do the tab, it only shifts it over a minimal amount. So for this line, I actually have to introduce a second \t character. So let's do that right now. In line 20, I'm going to add another tab character. That should take care of that mistake. And also, I want to introduce some white space here between the header and my input statement. So on line 6, I'm going to introduce a \n character to give me that desired white space. So now if I run this, let's see, welcome to the temperature conversion app. What is the given temperature in degrees Fahrenheit? Well, let's say it's a little chilly out. It is 32 degrees out. And this is nice. We get degrees Fahrenheit, 32.0. Degrees Celsius is 0 degrees. And this makes sense because this is actually the freezing point of water. So 32 and 0. And then we get degrees Kelvin as 273.15. Wonderful, wonderful job. I hope you enjoyed this problem. Great work.